As important as networking is in a facility, we have to make sure that all of the machines and the devices can talk back to our control system to allow them to share all of the information for the sensors, the actuators, all the stuff that's happening on the machines. Now, we could accomplish this by sticking an individual controller at each one of our machines, but then that's a lot of maintenance, that's a lot of programming, and that's a lot of expense. So instead, what we turn to most of the time is what's called a remote I/O system. Remote I/O simply means that we have all of the input and output channels, digital inputs, analog inputs and outputs. All of that stuff is distributed, or it's remote to the controller, and these are attached to each one of the machines. Then all the information is sent back over a network to the central PLC to do its job. Now, they look a little bit different because they don't contain a processor, but we see many of the familiar things that we would see on any modular control system. First, we have what's called a network adapter or a network bus module. These will have different communication ports, sometimes Ethernet, EtherCAT, RS-232, RS-485, and they'll have communication capabilities like Ethernet IP, Modbus over TCP, all kinds of network abilities to be able to share that information. We also have input and output modules. Obviously, we need those to be able to actually connect to the field devices themselves. But again, we're lacking the CPU because that processing happens back at our central control system. Sometimes we need a lot of power because there's a lot of I/O devices out at our machines. So sometimes we have an additional power unit that does not provide any communication capabilities, but simply amplifies the amount of power that's being sent to those field devices. And sometimes in these systems, we don't have enough power coming from the original bus module to be able to supply all of our field devices, so we have this inline power supply, or really a power amplifier, to ensure that we have enough power being delivered to all those massive quantities of field devices on some of these large pieces of equipment, all controlled by the central control system. And the best part about this is, since it's modular, if we need to expand our system, we can simply add more expandable I/O modules and then copy sections of the original code and simply change the address of the remote I/O system, giving us much more flexibility if we want to expand or change the system in the future. And that's something that many manufacturers have found very useful as we have to adapt to all these changing systems around the world of manufacturing today.